Hi everyone, welcome back to the Triathlon channel. So I'm going to break this video down into three separate parts. Firstly, we're going to look at a review on the Outlaw. My thoughts on it anyway, and we're going to look at my race results, how they compared to last year, what I was pleased with, what went wrong, so a bit of a race review. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about, as if you've been watching any of the other videos, you will know that I've gone from a coach to just going off a training program that I bought off Phil Mosley from TrainingPeaks, and I'm going to review that because that was all what I was hoping to do, was share the journey and see, is it worth spending all that money on a coach? Do they make that big a difference as opposed to just following a program? Because financially it makes a huge difference. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to talk to you about that. So let's get straight into Outlaw Nottingham. So firstly, let me apologise because I don't have a great deal of content because I gave my camera to my daughter to film and she didn't do a good job. So unfortunately, there's not much. So there's a lot of me just talking, but hopefully it will help, because if you are thinking about doing Outlaw, 100% recommended, but I'm going to give you my honest feedback on it, things I think they can improve on, things I think where they've gone wrong compared to last year, but they've also made some improvements. So anyway, let's get straight into it. So on the Saturday, we arrived, checked in. I had to get my race pack from there. It wasn't posted to me, unfortunately, because my address on Active, I think it is, wasn't updated in time. So I needed to collect it. So got there, checked in, no problems. It was all there already waiting, so easily done. Got the kids' race pack. They were doing the Future Outlaws, and that was a run. So my youngest daughter, who is 6, did a 1.2 mile run. I ran with her, and then the two older children did 2.4 mile run, and they did that by themselves, thankfully, so I didn't have to run with them. So that was nice. Great event. They did it last year, wanted to improve. I think my son and my daughter improved a little bit. My youngest daughter didn't. She went a bit backwards, but she wanted to stop for an ice cream halfway around as well. But anyway, they loved the event. That was a great part of the weekend, as always. And they do the future junior Ironmans or whatever, the Ironman runs as well. So they very much part of the weekend, because it's a long weekend for them in terms of spectating and early mornings and watching me. So anyway, that was something as a treat for them, but something also to get them into it. So great event. Thank you, Outlaw. They loved it. I then racked in, checked in the bike, racked up, no issues there. They had a rack last year. They didn't have my rack my number on the rack, so they had to find me a space, and it was a bit of a mess. But this year it was all perfect. I had a great location. Now let's get on to one of the issues. Straight away, the transition was huge again. It was massive. So I reckon at least a kilometre worth of transition. So, I mean, I get you've only got so much space that you can work with, but at the same time, I think there might have been ways to do it better. But anyway, it is what it is. Everyone's in the same boat, but for me, I'm just being honest. One of the things, transition way too long. They did shorten it, however, so they changed the swim exits, which made it a lot better. Probably saved half a kilometre, and I'm not exaggerating on that. So that helped a lot, because you had to run up tarmac last time, and then so it was a bit chaos. Last year. So anyway, that was an improvement, so well done to them. Now, one of the other letdowns for me anyway was the lack of photographs. So something that Outlaw pride themselves on is the free photographs that they're able to share with you. And last year I seemed to get a lot more, not only on the run, but a lot more on the bike. This time round, there was one on the bike, and unfortunately, and I'll go into this a bit more detail in terms of what happened with me on the bike, where I could have got a better time, but I had a few issues. So the only picture of me on the bike, and I'll share it in this video, but I'm holding my water bottle on the top. So that was the only one thing that let them down in terms of photographs, as there just wasn't as many. So unfortunately, for me, because I love the photograph side of things, prove I was there. But no, all joking aside, it was, for me anyway, a bit of a letdown. So don't know if everyone else felt the same. However, I got a ton of photos on the finisher line, which was great. So that's another positive. So let's go into that. So I got to run down the finish line with the kids. They loved it, and I've probably got 30 photos to prove that I did that. So like I say, that was, again, although a positive, because I've never been able to do that before. They weren't allowed to do it last year because of COVID, but this year they were. So that was great, and I got to do that. So they enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it as well. So the run course, again, it's a good course. It feels longer than it actually is. Those loops, so you do loops of the lake, you go up on a bit of grass area. It seemed like there was a bit more elevation on the run this time, so that killed me a little bit, but overall decent run. I think maybe they could have had a bit more in terms of the nutrition stops. Again, it just didn't feel like there was as much as there was last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but it certainly didn't feel like that. And although the forecast was saying rain all day, luckily we didn't, and it was actually quite hot, and I just felt we could have had maybe a bit more on the aid stations along the run course. But anyway, it wasn't a massive problem for me anyway. I got what I needed when I needed it, but like I say, there was a couple of occasions where I felt I probably could have done with something, where I know there was one last year but there wasn't this year. Anyway, so that was one of the other things. The bike routes, good routes. Again, there's loads of potholes coming back in towards transition. The last area it's also, again, not Outlaw's fault. That's the roads, and they can't do anything about that. But just be wary of that. The roads are not great, but the course itself is really good. So overall, I think, would I do it again? 100% yes. I do like the event. Like I say, I think they let themselves go. I know that they also, historically, a few years ago when my brother did it, he got a bag like Ironman give you, where Outlaw have done it. I didn't get one last year. We didn't get one this year. But I think that's, again, maybe something they've let themselves go with a little bit, because I know you get them at all the Ironmans, and most people like them. Maybe some don't, but I think bring that back, because it is nice to have. And I don't know what the cost back was back then. However, just one of those little things, small little things, which I think would make a big difference. But I think overall, 100% recommend the event, and you should do it if you're thinking about it. So let's get into my race review. So I went into this feeling really good, and which I was really pleased about. Now, in terms of the training block anyway, I had COVID a couple of months ago, right in the middle of my peak build phase. So it wasn't ideal. I was 2 weeks completely out. I did nothing. I couldn't do anything. So that was a real shame for me, because I was going into that block as well, feeling really good, strong. I was putting in about 16, 17 hours a week at that stage. So I was just looking forward to it, and it was all heading in the right direction. Anyway, I think at the same time, maybe the COVID did me a bit of help, because it forced me to rest, where I am guilty of that. I don't probably take enough rest days. However, that was forced upon me, so I did. So I came out of that still feeling good. I felt I'd lost a bit of fitness. A lot of people say you wouldn't have lost much fitness, but I think I did. But anyway, I still went into the race really confident, but more importantly, really excited to see how I could improve on last year when I was being coached. So this is the whole point of a lot of the videos I'm doing, is trying to share with you where to save money in terms of the triathlon, because coaching is very expensive. Buying a program it's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper. So I think the overall program was only £80 for the 24-week block, which is less than 1 month worth of coaching. So anyway, swim, and I'm going to get my phone out so I get these times right. But so we had a decent swim. I was a bit panicked on this one, because I did an open water swim before, the week before, and I was freezing, and I probably went into a bit of shock. It was the first swim of the year in open water since Weymouth. So I really struggled, and I had to take a load of breaks doing 1,000 meters. So even just doing half of what was going to be the swim in the race. But anyway, I got over that. Maybe that helped. Maybe it was the water was a bit warmer. I don't know. But anyway, regardless of that, I felt good on the swim. It was 33 minutes, 43 seconds, 1.9K swim. it wasn't ideal for me in terms of the swim. So where I went wrong, I sort of started on the right hand side. There was 3 jetties that you dived off and went in, and then I had to cut across, then cut across again. But because I overshot a little bit, I had to cut across even more. So I think I lost a bit of time there. But anyway, still 33 minutes, 43 seconds, happy with that swim. Transition, a lot quicker than last time, but I made a conscious effort to do this. So 4 minutes 36. The bike, and this is the part I was really interested on, because on my program I was doing a lot more cycling than I had ever done before, and I was keen to see how I'd progress. Anyway, 2:39.19 for just over 90 kilometers and measured at 90.12 kilometers. So it was slightly over, but it was still a good bike. Now, it could have been even better, and this is where it went slightly wrong. So, like last year, I took a wrong turn. Not once this time, but twice. So, luckily, I didn't overshoot as much as I did last year, where I went probably 2 or 3 miles over the distance. This time around, I probably went 200 or 300 meters. Realized I'd gone wrong, and it was only, I think it was because I was so conscious that I'd made that mistake before that I looked over my shoulder and I saw people turning when I went straight. So anyway, maybe that is also slightly me not being aware of the road signs. I'm not going to blame that on Outlaws, probably me, but maybe there isn't enough signs. I don't know. If any one of you did notice that there wasn't enough, then let us know. But anyway, I'm going to take the blame on that one, because I think it's up to me to know where to go. So anyway, bike overall, really happy. I also had a problem where my water bottle that is on the front of my bars, so on the tri-bars, that came loose, and I was flying down the road, probably doing about 28, 29 miles an hour. Water bottle came off. I hit a bump and it shot off. The trouble is, normally I would just leave it because the water bottle, it's fine. I can do without it, or I'd make up for it by stopping at it or picking up an extra bottle at the one of the stops. But anyway, my bike computer was on there. It's attached to it, so I had to stop. So I had to dismount, then run up the road, probably 200 meters, pick up my bottle, run back, and then get going again. So I lost a few minutes there easily, which is a shame, but at the same time, I needed to get it. I just wasn't prepared to let my bike computer go. One, because I needed to see my speed, my power, etc. So I wanted to see what I was doing in terms of the bike, but also it's over 200 quid, so I was getting it. So anyway, that was the other issue on the bike. Along with part of that, in the same situation, a couple of my gels went, so I couldn't get them. I didn't bother to get them. I couldn't see them, so I just left them. But anyway, they were in the compartment that stores them, so I lost some nutrition, which wasn't ideal because I was biking hard. Then I probably biked a little bit harder to try and see if I could make up for the lost time. But anyway, so now didn't have enough nutrition. I also was probably falling behind because overworking because I'd fallen behind. But anyway, still overall very happy with the bike. Came in transition 3 minutes 41, which again was a bit quicker. I had to do a toilet stop and then headed out onto the run, which I was feeling pretty good about. I thought on the bike maybe I'd pushed it too hard, but when I got going, I was feeling pretty good. So I cracked on. Now, I've made this mistake before. However, this time around, although it was the mistake, and I'm going to talk about the run, is where I lost quite a bit of time again as well. And I probably, for a number of factors. So the first thing, the reason why I lost time is I had to do 2 toilet stops. Now, I think that was because it must have been maybe something with the nutrition, lack of nutrition, maybe, I don't know, but I haven't had stomach issues for a long time, but I had to make 2 stops on the run. So that obviously takes time. So that I lost that. I started out really quick, a lot quicker than what was the planned race pace. The planned race pace for me was 6 minutes 50 miles. And I started out and I was going at sort of 6 minute miles, just under, but I felt really good. So I thought, you know what, let me hold the 6-minute miles for 2 or 3 miles and then re-gauge and see how I'm feeling. Anyway, after that, I felt really good. And I was like, actually, do you know what? I could probably push on at this for at least maybe half the distance and then maybe drop to 6.5 minutes. That's how I felt at the time anyway. However, I rapidly declined. So I probably got to 5-6 miles where I was doing between 6 and 6:20 minute miles. And then obviously I had the toilet stops, so that stopped me. And then I went on to average just over 7 minute miles. So I ran a 1:33.22, which was just over 21k. So it would have been slightly less for the half marathon. Overall time 4 hours 54 minutes 41 seconds. Got what I went for. So that was 14 minutes quicker than last year, which I'm buzzing about because one, I was I'll be honest and I'll say it and I'll put it out there to everyone, I was hoping for sort of 440, 445. I really wanted to go for my overall PB, which I got in Weymouth last year, but I was only 2 minutes slower this time around. So anyway, the plan was I kept it quiet, but in my head, that's what I wanted. I wanted the 445, 440, maybe if I could really have a good run after a good bike anyway. So that's where we are. So do I think the coaching, one-on-one coaching made any real difference? No, the answer is I've got to say it isn't, or it hasn't, or didn't, because the proof is in the pudding. Or that in my head anyway. I went to exactly the same race, albeit the conditions maybe are slightly different. They were slightly different because last year was really cold, it was wet, and although on the run it wasn't. So all things considered, it was 14 minutes worth of difference in terms of last year's to this year. So I was worried because I thought maybe I'd made a mistake by not being able to, or not staying with the coach, but that was purely for financial reasons. I couldn't afford it anymore, and it got to a point where something's got to give, and that was the one thing that had to give. So I made that decision, but then stuck with the program because I need that structure. I added in a lot of my own stuff, and I've learned over the years to manage my injuries more importantly, because I suffered a lot before. So I've learned how to do that. There's a number of different things I've done this year, which I know 100% has helped me. So I've upped my strength, and I have to say my collagen that I've been taking, and I've done videos on this before, so I don't want it to come like a sales pitch, but the Perform collagen that I've been taking for now probably 8 months, 100% has made a difference because I don't hurt as much in the mornings. I feel all flexibility's improved. I feel just generally better and no injuries. So it could be a combination of many things, but I swear by those two things, for the strength training and the collagen. So 100% for me, that's what's worked. So I'm going to stick to that and then see. So what I've done now, my next race is only in September, and I'm keeping it as that because I'm going up to Spain for Team GB age group 70.3 race. It's my first time as part of the age group GB team, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. That's one of the things that I really wanted to achieve when I set out on the triathlon journey. That was a huge tick in the box for me, as well as qualifying for the 70.3 World Champs, which I did both of those at Weymouth last year. So one race and I got two of the things that I wanted. So really happy about it. So that's where I'm going. So I've just bought another program by Phil Mosley again. It worked for me. I now know his structure, his way of working. So I'm going to stick with that. I've just bought another 24-week program, which will take me, an 18-week program. It's going to take me up to Bilbao, which is where the race is in Spain. And then I've got 70.3 World Champs 3 or 4 weeks after that. So that I'll just maintain, and it'll be 2 weeks of tapering. So I'll just take 2 weeks worth of training after the race, but 100% it worked for me. So if you are debating coaching programs, etc., it's worked for me, and hopefully that's helped you make a decision. So any questions, let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Apologies that you've had to listen to my voice for so long. If you've made it this far, thank you very much, and I'll see you again very soon.